Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on the TI-14 playoffs. Day 1 recap. Alright, game 1 was Xtreme versus Tundra. I expected Xtreme to win. I expected it to be a little bit more of a stomp, and it definitely wasn't. The defining feature of game 1 that really set the tone for the series was Tundra 10th picked Juggernaut of all heroes, this super nerdy team picking up Jug as the answer to all 5 heroes in the enemy team. And they wound up losing the game, but Crystallis actually did alright. I do think it's funny that his very first Omni Slash, it was during like a Roche fight. Xtreme already took the Roche, but they decided to go in anyway. Very first Omni, instantly boofed it. It went to like a random Beastmaster creep and didn't do anything, ended super prematurely. So that sort of set the tone for the series. But Tundra wound up actually taking the lead pretty early on. They had a really strong Death Ball powered by the Lycan and the Shadow Demon. Really strong defensive moves too. Storm Spirit wound up going Holy Locket. BZM pulled out this tech. I thought it was really funny. It was very strange. Everyone was questioning it. But then later on, you have that, the Warlock heal, Healing Ward, Disruption. They just couldn't kill Storm. It was really hard for them to kill Storm, though they eventually did. XM's Pango was probably the star performance of the tournament, did pretty well in the lane against the Storm Spirit, and then later on, during one of the major fights, I don't know how he did this, XM used the shield crash on one of the walls in the Dire Fountain and just went to the Shadow Realm. He just went to like outside of the map. Pangolier just like went to the back rooms in one of the major fights. But overall, it was a really fun game. Tundra deathballed. Xtreme led the comeback with a bit of a deathball of their own. Wound up taking it in 55 minutes. I think they took Roche like 5 times. It was a pretty fun game to watch. Now, game 2, first time we've seen Clinks picked up at TI, which was pretty funny. Seeing Ame pick up Clinks of all heroes and using it to pretty good effect. The major standout performance for me was again in the mid lane. They picked up Earthshaker into the Queen of Pain. Maybe they thought that it was Ame playing like carry Queen of Pain, like as a very rogue pick. It was not. It was XM Quap, and he bullied the shit out of BZM. He had like double his CS at like 6 minutes or something. Not only was he owning him in lane, BZM has to use Fissure to secure range creeps whenever he's able to. But on top of that, they also like try-ganked him really early on. Like both supports came in to gank him, and there just wasn't anything that Tundra could really do to help support his game. And even the stacks, I think, got stolen. It was very tough. It was tough. Tundra did mount a pretty funny defense of their Ancient stack that didn't entirely go their way, which I thought was funny. And then 3-3's SK played pretty good. He did well during that game. But outside of that, it was a lot more confident of a victory for Xtreme. So up 2-0 for our new Chinese overlords. Get ready to learn Mandarin, all that jazz. Next up was Parivision versus Heroic. If you're going to watch a single series, I highly recommend you watch this one. Okay, this series was so funny. It was not a fast series, right? Another 50+ minute game as the opener, but 9 class on Monkey King is like by far the funny. There was like the most funny player award. He would nail it. He has been so goofy this entire tournament, and then he got even goofier in the playoffs. I'm so glad I picked him as my fantasy character. I don't know if he's like stat-wise a good fantasy pick, but making him my player to watch on this team is so fun. So first off, Heroic first picked Pudge, and the crowd went nuts for it. And then Heroic also had the very first Crystal Maiden game, partially to deal with Beastmaster. It went okay. Analog's performance on Puck was really good. I know Puck is sort of like the sleeper best pick of the tournament right now. He chooses the Wiggly Orb facet, and he's really good at using it. I thought it was so fun. It even helped him a lot with the first blood on Beastmaster, after Beastmaster tried to dive him, but then he was able to use the Wiggly Orb to get out, get some help from his teammate, flipped it on him. It was nice. It was nice. Heroic's landing stage was very fun to watch. They were super dynamic. Clockwork was everywhere. Pudge had some rotations. Even Ursa rotated, I think, once or twice. So it was very fun to watch. Heroic is a treat. And that led into a very grindy mid-game where it was just a series of 4v4 fights. The problem is that Heroic's Ursa was participating so much more. Meanwhile, Satanic on Lifestealer just got to farm and he got so fat. This guy was so fat. So fat. We also got to see one of the funniest solo queue strats ever. The Pudge bought a Smoke of Deceit, waddled into like a 5-stack Ancient camp, and then just turned Rot on and sat there for like 35 seconds in order to clear out the Ancient camps and get a bunch of golden XP. Which was very funny. That is absolutely something you will copy in pubs, even though I really don't want you to. The big takeaway from game 1 is there were 5 or 6 times where I was like, oh, Heroic are doing it, South American Dota, and then like 5 seconds later I was like, never mind. Like, this team just can't really hold on to any kind of lead that they generate. And they are a good team. They're very fun to watch. I look forward to seeing them in the lower bracket, but overall, not super impressed by Heroic in game 1. Game 2, this draft was boring. The Monkey King was the most exciting thing. DM Phoenix and 9 class Monkey King they killed Heroic like 4 times. Like they killed King Jungles and the Ursa like 4 times in like 5 minutes. It was just ridiculous. It was an absolute stomp. And of course, that amount of pressure, you have to bring the other support over. It really opened up the laning phase. No one's Queen of Pain just like dumpstered the SF. He went for the maxing Q build, which is what you do against SF, right? Because the health regen and the constant harass, it's difficult for SF to remain in the lane. But he had 20 denies at 6 minutes against an SF. Like, that is brutal. Like, that's so hard to play. After that, it was mostly just like a back and forth mid game, kind of the same as before, very grindy. Satanic on TA, probably his best hero. One of the funny strats they did to try to counter him is they were blocking the Ancient Camp by the safe lane tier 1, and they did it multiple times to the point where Satanic saw NP doing it and TPing out, and he can't do anything about it, right? He's just a TA. And he typed mercy please in all chat, and it was super funny. If you're going to have someone on Parivision talking shit in all chat, please let it be Satanic and not Ducalis. So it was a good time. It was a good time had by all. And then Satanic just came in and killed everyone over and over again, and then they won the game. It was a lot more straightforward of a game than it was in the first one. So overall, Parivision, very impressed with the performance. 9 class, I want to say he's like the MVP, but it's really just because he's so funny. Meanwhile, Satanic is like the actual MVP. He's like an absolute monster. He was farming the enemy heroes pretty much both games the entire time. So shout out to Parivision. I expect them to go very far. And 9 class is my fantasy player. Very happy to see it. And also, I just wanted to mention, there was a clip that the TI broadcast showed of Parivision's comms during a team fight. They do not comm. Like, it actually was like solo queue Dota. You know what it really was? It was like shitty draft league comms, where like you don't know each other well enough, so whenever you want to kill someone, you just say the name of that hero over and over and over again. You just yell like bane, 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 bane. And that's how they're using comms at the absolute highest level in TI playoffs. So I found that very funny. If these guys can do it, you can do it too. All right, next up was the series of Tidebound versus Falcons, and let me just say, Owie came out during the pre-match interview talking that shit. He was like, you guys better get your midnight snacks, go ahead and get your dinner ready so you can watch this, because, you know, they're on German time. But this series was like the shortest of the ones so far. He was talking about how long it was going to be, how long all of Falcons games are, and they are a very grindy team. Statistically, he was right. But in this particular instance, anecdotally, he was wrong. So, Owie, I'm calling you out. Curtis, make the games longer. I should be asking for that. Anyway, game 1, Falcons also had some really good early moves to steal the stacks in the triangle. That's become like a really focal point of the meta, and Falcons sort of recognized it, so they went really in. And after that, it was just sort of a slow burn stomp. There weren't really any particularly effective performances on Falcons. I think the Beastmaster did a really good job with his priority on Primal Roar. Tidebound just like lost this game. Like, this was their game to lose, and they freaking lost it. Shiro's Marcy was like super ineffective. It really didn't do much at all. We saw the HOTD, we then saw the BKB, and then right into Nullifier. The problem with the BKB, right, is first off, you have Primal Roar, and you also have Pugna, which makes it so that Decrepify is a really strong defensive tool that doesn't care about your BKB. It cares about the ally target that you're trying to hit. And so as a result, Marcy just kind of like died over and over again. Like, it didn't really do anything. And like, I was hyping up Shiro. I love Shiro. I figured he was like up there with Ame as far as the super standout cores of this tournament. But this game, it just looked really ineffective. There were multiple fights where he would get gone on, get brought down to like 5% HP, pop BKB, and just die right afterwards. And like, that sucks. That was also his 9-second BKB. Shiro just really didn't do that well. Malrine probably had the best performance on Falcons, but it really was like a team effort from them. Really good play by them, really concentrated macro movements, really good map control. Bach, which if you don't know is Faith Beyond, you may know him as, he had a pretty valiant effort on Timber. He did well in the lane, he did a lot of hero damage, but it just wasn't enough. And so game 1 ended in a pretty slow, in my mind I was like, oh, it's like they're trying to like judo flip an anaconda is what Team Tidebound is doing, and Team Falcons is just not going to fall for it. So game 1 solidly went to them. Game 2, we saw Abakari again. It's a very funny thing to see, and I think Tidebound really goofed on the draft. Like, look at Falcons' team. Like, yeah, Bristleback is kind of weird, but they got Sand King, they got Hoodwink, they got Naga, right? Those are 3 really contested heroes, and they just sort of let them slip. And like, I can't remember exactly what their bans were, but I remember staunchly disagreeing with it in the moment. So I think Tidebound did move the draft a little bit, but that's okay, right? It's just a draft. First off, only 1 HOTD in this entire game. Only a single dose of the Hot D on Faith Beyond Centaur. That was the only one. Other than that, it was a very similar process to the first game. It was just a very slow choke out in terms of map control and vision. Like, not a whole lot of big flashy team fights. Low kill games overall today. For reference, in the vision game, Y bought 29 sentries across 44 minutes, and Tidebound lost the vision game hard. Like, they got stomped so hard. but it was really just kind of a repeat of the game one game plan. So overall, I had a little bit of trepidation about rooting for Falcons in this. After that really long game in the group stage, you saw ATF like head in his hands on the gaming station, really exhausted. That made me think like, oh man, stamina might be a concern because the group stage was long, and like going into this, there's going to be a lot of really long games in the playoffs. I think maybe the shift towards a slightly faster tempo for Falcons was because of ATF getting tired. So overall, really good performance by them. I was a Falcons doubter. This is the fantasy pick that I got wrong. I thought Tidebound would win. So my apologies to anyone who loses a free Arcana or a Leany Immortal because you followed my advice. But if it makes you feel any better, I probably lost out on one too. All right, BetBoom Nigma. This was the banger of the day. This was the only match that went to 3 games, and all 3 of the games were at the very least interesting. So first off, I want to shout out Kuroki came out for the interview, and like people loved him. They showed him in the booth. People were cheering for him. People love Kuroki. People joke about him sometimes. Haha, Razor 5 washed. But like Kuroki, I love you. if you're watching this for some reason and you absolutely aren't, I love you, bro. And everyone else loves you too. So game 1, we saw Pure get the LD pick. I think partially as a pick deny. He then went straight for the bear only final destination build. And it actually worked out really well. Like, it almost worked. It almost won them the game. What was funny is, like, Beastmaster was casting a bunch of Primal Roars at the bear, and then the bear was using Savage Roar as a defense, so it was kind of, like, roaring back and forth in order to deal with the Lone Druid and the Beastmaster, which I thought was funny. I might be the only one. Miero went for the core style of Abba, like the Bloodthorn Manta. I think he picked up Diffusal Blade, too. He could not hang. He could not hang with the carry Abbas. He just couldn't do it from the off lane, so my heart goes out to him. He did his best, but it didn't quite work out because GH Phoenix with the godlike Novas. Like that, he played so good. Like, Nigma Galaxy won this match. The MVP should go to GH. He had some of the best supernovas that we've seen all tournaments. So shout out to him. Unk still got it. Ghost went Refresher Troll Warlord this game, by the way. I believe he owes me $5 as a result of that. Like, I think I should maybe get paid a royalty for that. I bet he watched my PowerPoint and picked it, but he did go MKB over Scotty, and I should talk that at him all the time, so maybe he doesn't owe me $5. I'll let it slide for now, but if I do see that, Scotty, you're going to get an email. Sumail stole the show for this game, though, solidly. Really flashy ganks. He went for the Exhort build. You could feel the spirit of miracle surging through him. That Zoomer who won TI5, he came out with a storm, so shout out to his Invoker. The Death Ball, though, was just, it was too much for BetBoom to deal with, and then I think they took double racks at 40 minutes and still held out almost a half an hour after that, which is very impressive by them. So, I mean, BetBoom, if anything, that was like an omen for how the rest of the series would go, right? Nigma Galaxy really got their licks in, but BetBoom was still able to persevere and hold out for a good long while. They still lost the game ultimately. Shout out to Windranger losing in the playoffs of TI. Sir Action Slacks, I'm sure, was very happy. His smile stretched from one end of his bald head to the other. And then going into game 2, I thought to myself, okay, Nigma's up a game. They just need to not flub it, right? They just need to, like, play simple. They can afford to lose game 2. It's okay. And boy, howdy, did they lose game 2. So I saw the Terrorblade pick up, and I was like, oh, wow. There's no way for them to deal with Ghost. This is going to be a 2-0. BetBoom's just going to lose. And BetBoom's going to be in the lower bracket. And my predictions are going to be wrong, but I'll be happy about it because it's Nigma. Omar Tiny did his best to make that happen. Ton of moves early. Insane early kill participation, but he fell off like a rock. Haha. And then just started dying over and over again and wasn't able to contribute nearly as much in the second half of the game. Pure sold his Helm of the Dominator at, I think, like 35 minutes-ish on the Faceless Void. Sold it, bought an MKB, and then Puck got a Parasma, and the game just, like, fell apart. Like, Nigma Galaxy just sort of flopped over and died. It was just, like, bad team fight after bad team fight. And then we had another relatively fast game. Also, Sumail's Nature's Prophet mid, this game, like, didn't do well. And I remember watching this and being like, oh, man, the pro scene has really figured out how to deal with core MP. I guess that hero isn't that good anymore. And then game 3 happened, and I was instantly proven wrong. So game 3... this ish was a banger. Like, this was a great game. It was super back and forth. It was probably the most back and forth game of the day, one that I had a lot of fun watching. You could feel how hard Ghost was trying on the Morphling. Like, every little thing that he did, like just moving through the trees, moving from camp to camp, he was very, very efficient. The backpack management too. Something about his performance had like an aura to it that I could really appreciate. Pure, just like he did in the previous game, fed his ass off, dude. He was like 0-5 at one point. Like, he was really not doing good. And then in the last 12 minutes of the game, he got 12 kills and then still managed to wind up being the MVP. Pure might be one of the scariest players at this event only because you can just dumpster him and he doesn't care. Like, he'll come back and obliterate you anyway. And then the thing that really stuck out to me was that BetBoom had such a smooth power curve, right? Miero's Centaur got like a really weird early triple kill very early on and sort of took the lead. passed it over to GPK on the puck, and then to Pure at the end. And the supports didn't feed, which was great. Grimstroke had a couple of deaths. That's, it's just going to happen against a lineup like this. It's a Tusk. It's an NP. Like, you're a Grimstroke. You don't have any really good inherent defensive tools, so you're going to die a couple times. But I think he only had 5 deaths, which is really impressive. That's a very low number for the situation that he was in. And again, regarding Sumail, Nature's Prophet, he actually balled out this game. He did very well. It wasn't enough. He also kind of fell off, but he had like a 9-minute Spirit Vessel, and he was just running around. He bullied the Grim, he bullied the TA. He was part of the reason that TA was like 0-5 very early on. All right, so super fun game, and it all came down to a tragedy. This made me so sad. So BetBoom, they go for the Roach fight. It's in the bottom pit, and they get it down super low. They kill it. Noob blinks in on Mars. Items are on the ground. He's got the open slot. I was like, oh shit, like Noob's gonna do it. Noob's gonna grab the Aegis. He's gonna win the game. And then he just picked up the Roach banner. He picked up the Roach banner and said, because you can't see, right? There's particle effects everywhere. There's other heroes in the pit. And it felt like the Aegis was on the ground for a year. It wasn't at all. It was on the ground, like I watched the replay, it was on the ground for like 1.5 seconds, but an Aegis being on the ground causes time dilation. You know what I'm talking about. It feels like it's on the ground forever, but he couldn't get the Aegis snatch. It was very close, and I was like holding my breath for it. And right after that, BetBoom just sort of wins the game. They just kind of roll over and take out the base. So it was a bit of a tragic end. We live next door to a universe where Nigma Galaxy actually wins this and keeps going through the upper bracket, but we do not live in that universe, quite sadly. So this series made me a little sad, but BetBoom looks really strong going forward. I wrote a little bit here about the aesthetics of TI this year. I think they did a really good job. Feel free to read it if you like. So in conclusion, the International is very pretty, and you should watch it. So far, I'm 3 for 4 on fantasy, but I wish that I was 2 for 4. The only thing that can solve my sadness is a free Leany Immortal to put on my lion. Peace on planet Earth.